But another story that I heard, Jackson family, you didn't tell us about seeing Michael Jackson with Mariah.
Oh,
You flew out to
Korea.
Where, Korea? Went to a Michael Jackson show, standing on the side of a Michael Jackson show while he kept coming over. Tell us about this story.
Okay, so...
That sounds crazy.
Well, I was at home. I was dead asleep. It was the middle of the night. And Michael had this show in Korea, but he'd done Korea like 3-4 times. So he wasn't selling tickets. And Mariah had never done Korea. So she calls me and she goes, hey, we're going to Korea tomorrow. Or tonight. Pack up. Meet me at the airport. And I'm like, no, I'm going to work tomorrow. You're going to Korea. Have a good time. And she goes, do you want to meet Michael Jackson or not? And I was like, which airport are we flying from? Now, this was a total trip because, like, Christopher Buckle, who's, like, the Max Factor of our time, basically, is, like, the big hair and makeup guy, does every main actress, Mariah, Christina Aguilera, all this. So it's me and him sitting on the plane. And we end up with her, and Luis Miguel went with us and all of this kind of stuff. But we just sitting there talking like, are we really going to Korea to see Michael Jackson right now? And we land like in Alaska or somewhere. And we get off because I have to refuel on the way. And we get off and we're sitting there looking at all of this. It's like snow everywhere. And we're like, this is just fucking surreal. Like, we stop on a private jet on the way to Korea to meet Michael Jackson, the biggest selling female artist of all time's in there, to meet the biggest selling male artist of all time. And she was dating Luis Miguel at the time, so the biggest selling Latin singer of all time. And we're just like, this is just too much. You know what I mean? It's just crazy. So we get there. And they're like, do you want to meet Michael? I'm like, yeah. And so they're like, come on. So we walk in the room, and Michael's in there, and it was one of those old vaudeville mirrors with the lights around it, and no other lights are on in the room. And that Gavin kid is sitting on the couch next to him, the one that did the Leaving Neverland video. He's the only person in the room. He's sitting in the chair, dressed just like him. And Michael's in front of the mirror doing this. And then he turns around and he goes, Mariah, like that. And I was like, holy fuck. Like, this is staged.
Glove or no glove?
Well, no glove. But like with the Janet thing or any of those things, I'm a fan. Do you know what I mean? So it's a little overwhelming sometimes when you're talking to these people.
What was the aura around Mike, man? That's crazy, because he's like the biggest star to ever do it, really.
Well, I mean, what I remember the thought clearly, I'm like, oh, so this is God. Do you know what I mean? Like, you know, I mean, it was like, okay, you've made it. You met the king. You know, I mean, this is the king. You know what I mean? So, and you're here with, so you must have done something right, kid. Congratulations. Yeah. You know what I mean? But then we all walked to the side of the stage. Michael said, you guys want to see the show? And I'm like, yeah, great. And he's like, okay, cool. You know, and we had talked on the phone once or twice, but it wasn't like, you know, it wasn't, you know what I mean? We didn't really meet each other.
Now, the one thing I got to ask you, since you did speak to Mike, they say Mike had 2 voices.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did he have 2 voices? Or did you only hear the one voice?
I only, me personally, I can only recall the one.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like, maybe it's because I'm a fan, but I know he was talking normal, because one of the things, like, okay, so we were standing on the side of the stage. Michael was talking to Mariah about Sony royalties and Tommy Mottola, because it was around that time. Yeah. You know, when he was saying the devil and trying to get out of his deal.
That's what Mike was saying. Yeah,
and she was getting off of Sony and was married to Tommy, but they never had a conversation because she was married to Tommy. So they were having that conversation. And I'm just like, you know, like, what the fuck? And Luis is standing there, they're dating at the time. So I'm like sitting there like, what the fuck am I doing here? You know what I mean? Like, this is very odd. And Michael would sit there, be like, okay, so the person you need to talk to in royalties, hold on a second. Then he'd dart into the changing room, put on the Smooth Criminal outfit, and say, her name is da-da-da-da-da-da, and pick up exactly where he left off, mid-sentence. Wow. Then he'd go, hold on a second, go out, do the entire Smooth Criminal thing, then come back and pick up the conversation exactly where he left off.
Yeah.
And it was like watching a Broadway stage play that you watched 1,000 times that was just so rehearsed that it was just second nature. Like, he just did this or whatever. So anyways, I'm walking around just kind of looking at the ceiling, kind of looking at the trusses and stuff like that, because it seemed like a private conversation to me. So I didn't know where to go or what to do. So I start walking. Then all of a sudden, this huge Iraqi-looking dude comes in and swings a crutch at me. And I'm like, whoa, what the fuck was that? And he starts yelling at me. You know, what are you doing? You spying? Da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, bro, they're, you know, hey, leave me the fuck alone. They're, you know, da-da-da-da-da. So I have to go back to the dressing room at this point. I've been grounded. So I go back to the dressing room, and then they put me in the limo, and they take me back to the thing while they finish up doing whatever they're doing. Mariah comes back to the hotel, and she calls me up. She goes, hey, so Michael called, and we're going to go over to his hotel to meet his kids. You're not invited. Oof. And I'm like, why? And she goes, well, Michael was a little bit upset. And I go, why? And he goes, because in the middle of Beat It or whatever the heck he was doing, he heard you yelling with his security guard and didn't know what the fuck was going on. It was distracting him in the middle of his show. And I was like, whoops. Now, fast forward 2 days, 3 days later, I'm at Larrabee West, and I'm working with Nate Dogg on Music and Me. And at Larrabee West, it's like, it's Boys Town, Santa Monica and Larrabee, right? And we're sitting there, whatever, talking, and it's Nate, me, Gary, the security, and the lady who's sitting at the desk. And all of a sudden, we see the Sultan of Brunei's limo pull up. Like the logo of Brunei and all this, and this Rolls Royce pull up. And we see what looks like Michael Jackson hop out and walk in the video store. And we're like, and we all look at each other, and Nate looks over at me and goes, that was Michael. And I said, in the gay video store. And he looks over at me and he goes, I'm gonna go right. And he goes in the studio, and I'm sitting there like, no way, it's gotta be a lookalike. Like, this is just too funny. You know what I mean? Yeah. So Michael comes out, and I'm sitting there, and he looks over at me, and he just kind of goes like this, like, you gonna come over and say hello or what? And I'm like, oh shit. So I hop down, I walk over, and he goes, hey, Damien, da-da-da-da-da. And I'm like, Mike, how's it going? It was really nice seeing you in Korea the other day. And he goes, yeah, cool. You know, how's Mariah? Da-da-da-da-da. I'm like, great, cool. And I look down, and I mean, I'm not going to tell you what was in the bag, but I was like, okay, I'm going to go back inside. And that was it.
Maybe you're doing some research, you know?
Well, here's the thing, too, is he had a mask on, and he went like this, and...
That's
from
deep.
The nose thing?
There's a lot of nose stuff going on. There
like
was.
No nose?
That's a Digital Underground song, by the way.
No nose?
Yeah, that's a good song.
How you view what happened with Michael Jackson and Sony? And
what happened?
And his ultimate death.
Look, I think Michael overdosed because Michael was an addict. You know, regardless of where he got the dope from or how he got the dope, this business does that to you. Addiction is the number one. Look, have you ever seen an artist, period, whether it's Dave Chappelle, Martin Lawrence, anyone that gets to that level in entertainment, anybody, myself, anybody that hasn't had a mental breakdown?
Why is that, though? Why does everyone have to find some form of security in alcohol, in drugs, in sex, and all these things? Why can't you live out
Let
a
me
normal...
explain being a star to you.
Okay.
An artist works their entire life to make it to a certain place, to get their music heard. You know, it's the center point of passion, of love, of sex, of money, of drugs, everything meets in entertainment. There is nobody that isn't a fan of some form of entertainment. Okay? So they work their entire career to get to this point. They get to that point and they don't know how they made it. They don't know the difference between One Baby and Another Baby, a song. They don't know why you're calling this baby ugly, but you like this one. You'll say that I look like hell on this, but I don't look like hell on that. Or I'm having a bad day and I snap at a fan, it's on the front page of the New York Times. There's these extreme highs and extreme lows. You're standing out there performing for 17,000 people. They're all screaming, I love you, but you have to run off the stage into a dark tunnel, hop into your car, go to a hotel, not see anybody, because that same 17,000 people will rip you to death if they see you. You will get stampeded by them. They infringe upon every part of your privacy. Now, with those extreme highs and extreme lows, you have that extreme high of 17,000 people. Then you walk into that dark hotel room with nobody around you, and you're told, go to sleep, we got to get up at 6 a.m. You're coming off of that high of that show. What do you do to go to sleep? You have a drink, pop a pill, whatever you need to do to go to sleep.
Oh, wow.
After that that hardcore adrenaline rush at 6 o'clock in the morning when you get back and the sun's coming up. Do you know what I'm saying? Or on to the next city. And then they wake you up fast and say, we need to get you on this plane. So then you don't sleep and the sleep deprivation sits in. So if you don't sleep for 4 days, what happens? Psychosis. So a lot of this is not, I don't think a lot of it is the drugs. I don't think a lot of it is any of that. I think it's sleep deprivation. You know what I mean? They don't sleep for 4 days. They don't eat for 4 days because they're racing against the clock, because every artist's internal clock is you're only as good as your last hit. You know what I mean? So if they release a song and they have a stiff, their career's over to them. So why didn't they like this one? They liked the last one.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking. You know, so like I said, you have these extreme highs, these extreme lows, these extreme peaks of serotonin, and then just desperation. So you have everything from depression to euphoria in a 2-minute period. There's no balance.
I'm sorry. So before you were gonna tell us, and I think I probably led you astray, is you were gonna tell us about the relationship between Michael Jackson and Sony, and not just his, because Mike kind of indicates that he was smarter than them. Yes. He owned half their catalog or a majority of their catalog, and they couldn't do anything without him.
The arrogance of the labels, the arrogance of the artists, the arrogance of a lot of people, they expected, let's put it like this, they expected Michael to be a dumb artist. He grew up in the business, and he studied greatness. Whether it was Fred Astaire, you go back and look at Smooth Criminal. What is Smooth Criminal? Go look at every Fred Astaire movie. There's one, I forgot which one it was, but it's the exact same scene from a Fred Astaire movie.
I wish you knew that.
Same outfits.
And the way that he walks in, they said, is the way that he walks in. And
you know what I mean? He went and studied everybody. So he went to Paul McCartney, the head of the guy who wrote for the Beatles, and one of the Beatles, and said, what do I do? He said, buy publishing. He said, I'm going to buy your publishing someday, Paul. You know, whatever, you know. So he pissed a lot of people off buying up publishing. When Eminem dissed him, Eminem dissed him, he went and went and bought his publishing.
How did that go? Were you talking to Eminem at the time?
Well, Em had just done the famous Big John. One of his first deals was to, who does a great job, by the way, was to sign Eminem's publishing when he had Hi, My Name Is, or right after it. It was like his first deal. I think it was for like $5 million or something like that. And when Famous Music went up for sale, the company that had that and other copyrights, it wasn't just Eminem's, but Michael was like, who owns Eminem's publishing? Oh, they have M, they have all these other ones. Well, then I'll just buy the whole company. And just bought it on behalf of, I think he even had Sony pay for it. You know what I mean? Like, because they were the bank, but he owned half the catalog, yes.
Yep. Did Eminem say anything, or did anybody get a response out of this? Did he send a letter like, hey, I own you now, bitch?
Nah. You know, the thing about M is it's all fun and games. I've never seen him be serious about anything. You know, I've never, even like through the Ja Rule, I mean, he knew I was friends with Ja Rule and Irv Gotti, you know what I mean? But it never came up. 50 never said anything to me. You know what I mean? Never. And I still broke up in the club, so.
When you were running Power, that's what I was going to ask you. When you were running Power, is that when 50 started to really come about?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Well, because we played Wankster, we played How to Rob. And the funny thing was when How to Rob came out, 50 had a line in there, said, throw Mariah on the ground, you ain't with Tommy no more, or something like that. And I was working with Mariah at the time, so I'm the one that had to call Sony and be like, you need to pull that line. or she's going to sue Tommy, and let's just all save everybody some time here, and you might want to pull that because she's having a spiral right now. And then the lawyers got involved, and that got fixed.